I didn't think it was possible, but Sony outdid themselves. They made the worst superhero movie ever. It's absolute garbage.
I thought you were going to go the other way.
You thought I was going to say it's the best movie ever?
You were singing its praises the whole night.
I didn't say a single good thing about this movie.
I don't think there is a single good thing to say about this movie.
Yeah, I believe it.
I don't think you can even lie and say that there's a good thing about this movie.
This movie is worse than Morbius. It's worse than The Flash. It's worse than Catwoman. It's worse than Daredevil 2002 or whenever that came
What about
out.
Elektra?
It's worse than Elektra.
Oh.
I enjoyed Elektra more than this movie.
What about this or Iron Fist season 1 on
I would rather
Netflix?
watch 10 hours of Iron Fist rather than this movie again.
Oh.
This movie sucked.
Yeah, I'd rather shit in my hands and clap than watch this movie again.
So let's get into it. Let's take it through the plot and we'll find out why
Just
exactly.
wait, do you want to quickly read what I messaged you during the movie?
First one, this movie is dog shit. And then exactly an hour later, you sent, I want to kill myself. This dialogue is so bad.
Yes.
Let's get into the plot.
There was a plot in this movie?
There was. Weirdly enough, that's something it actually had going for it for most of the movie.
Do not. No, it didn't. Shut up.
Okay, so Mama Webb was researching spiders in Peru
Correct.
with Ezekiel right before she died.
Correct.
Well, she was pregnant with me, and it's the strange because like she's searching for spiders, right?
What about it's all close-up shots of her and she's like looking at the spider's web and then she's like, "Ooh, I'm pregnant," you know,
Turns
and just like
sideways.
turns. "Ooh, you're not gonna let mama get her work done today, are you?"
Yeah, they make her out to be like the worst person in the world.
Like the first 3/4 of the movie is like, "I hate my mom. My mom put my life in danger and I was
there's
just a fetus."
twist. She's looking for this magical spider because this spider, you'd think Peter Parker's spider, right, was a pretty good spider. Like it was genetically
Well, it was
engineered.
genetically engineered to be a super mega spider.
Faracidae.
Family Sporosidae.
But then she specifically says that this magic spider has never been taken alive. And then they cut to the bad guy that's going to double cross her. And then like 30 seconds later, she comes out of the bush and goes, "I found the spider." And it's like, well, that was pretty easy. And then the bad guy shoots the other guards and then wrestles with her and then kills her for the spider.
In typical Spider-Man fashion, someone's tussling with someone with a gun and they get shot.
Who got
It
shot?
just so happens that she's 9 months pregnant.
But the intro is some of the worst dialogue I've ever seen in any movie.
He runs away and then she gets saved by the Peruvian tarantula arachnid people.
Las Araña.
Las Araña.
Las Araña.
She gets saved by the spider people, which kind of just looks like, oh my god, that's what a jungle Spider-Man would look
It
like.
looks like the worst CGI though when they're hopping around. This movie
Oh
must
my
have
god,
had a
when
dog.
they're like darting between the trees, it
It
looks
must have had
so
a budget
dog
that was
shit.
so low, but I'll put the budget up. But it's probably it's probably higher
They
than
spent
it should
all
be.
of their money on like making Sydney Sweeney look 16. They put her in like a mystical bath and they let a spider crawl on and bite her, and they're like, "Your daughter, she'll be powerful and she will come back for answers one day."
Also, these spider people that they only brought up 2 minutes ago, because while she's searching for the spiders, the main bad guy, Ezekiel Sims, is like, "So those spiders, right? They give you superpowers if they bite you, right? But like the Las Arañas tribe that live in the trees of the forest and can run around and have superhuman strength." And she's like, "I don't deal in science fiction. I deal in science fact."
But she's like, it's like,
And it is the cringiest shit I've ever heard. Like
It's
it
so
feels like
fucking cringe.
it's worse than like Spider-Man Lotus. This is worse than a fan film.
Ew.
It is that bad of a dialogue.
Yeah.
And Spider-Man Lotus is dog shit. They save her baby by putting her in a
and then
big
they
bath.
put her baby into the American foster system, by
Despite
the
her
way.
being born in Peru
and having a Peruvian birth certificate, she gets put into
no
the
birth
American.
certificate. She was born in a pond.
No, she had a in like her book of things.
Okay, so and they sent her to the American foster system because they're like, yeah, we could raise her in our Peruvian forest.
As a superhero.
Yeah, but instead she needs to be in America.
She'll be back.
So that doesn't even make sense. But she has an American accent. That's the main thing. That's the main thing superheroes need.
We cut to Dakota Johnson,
Girl bossing an
Girl
ambulance.
Boss Webb, being a badass ambulance driver, and somehow through the course of a day, getting tangled up in the web of the 3 Spider Juniors. She somehow runs into each of them throughout her day at work.
Final Destination-y, like crash.
First one flips her off.
First one flips
skating
her off.
past
Skating
her.
past her. Second one
She saves her mum.
stepmom, and the third one lives in her building. We'll boil these women down for you because the movie does in about 3 seconds each. So you get the badass punk rock skater girl.
Hell yeah.
Boom. the shy one, which they chose Sydney Sweeney for, and still put her in the world's shortest skirt because she's the shy one, and that's what shy ones do. And then you've got the science girl.
She has a shirt that says, I eat math for breakfast.
Anya Corazon, that is her one thing. She is science girl. She says she does math once.
And then she calculates the time between contractions when a woman's giving birth.
When they're talking about Spider-Man walking across the ceiling, she's like, that's not mathematically possible.
Yeah.
There's not enough friction. And it's like, oh, science girl, cool.
It's the next day.
Yeah.
She goes out on call again with Uncle Ben. Surprise, surprise, her partner is...
It's Ben Parker.
Ben Parker,
And
Peter
they state it very blatantly as well. They're like, I don't know, Ben. And then I'm
I
like,
don't know, Ben Parker. She like says in full name.
Mr. Responsibility.
So they go out on a call. There's a guy dangling off a bridge in his car. And then they save him, but in the process, she gets like kind of locked in the car, falls into the water, and dies for 3 minutes. Or, you know,
Which is bad.
that's bad.
But she goes into the Spider-Verse, basically. Like, in her brain, there's like a bunch of weird web things. Like, it looks like the beginning of Sam Raimi's Spider-Man.
Yeah.
With all the DNA, but she's in the middle of it, poorly green screened.
Correct.
And she's like,
man,
oh,
it did look kind of
no."
badly green screen.
It
I
was
like,
the whole
ew.
movie just looked bad, honestly. There was so many crash zooms.
Mm-hmm.
It was very strange. Like, they were focusing on her at one point, and then she says like a bad girl line, and it like zooms in on her
Yeah.
face. I'm like, okay,
I did
that's
see
not
that.
something real movies do. That's
It's
what
like-
it felt like a fan film. It's insanity.
That's when her powers like activate and she
Yeah.
can start seeing small glimpses into the future, which like any movie where someone can see small glimpses into the future, she's like, what's happening to me? Like,
Except she doesn't understand deja vu. It happens like 3 or 4 times, and then she gets mad at everyone because she's like, we've already done this. And it's like, babes, you're insane. Like,
yeah, it's like people don't say that. You're just rude. It's
like-
like, we just did this game.
I don't remember Groundhog Day super well, but I'm pretty sure when he saw the day repeating, he caught
figured it
on
out.
pretty quickly. It
Yeah.
wasn't like, why are you doing the same thing you did yesterday? Why are you trying to trick me?
We've already had this conversation. What do
3
you-
seconds ago.
We just played this game at this baby shower where all the games are just repetitive things about babies.
And that balloon that already popped, you popped it again.
I was already eating a meatball.
That's
Why are you
another thing.
offering me another meatball? That's weird.
The time travel itself is inconsistent because she's not in the same spot she was when certain things happen. Because she can flash forward at any time. Sometimes she's eating a meatball and then she flashes forward. And then because of the way the flash forward works, she's no longer eating the meatball. So it's like her location doesn't matter, which is just
Well,
confusing and less
As you
interesting.
find out her power works, she can access the infinite of timelines and do everything, but
Maybe?
she doesn't get to just pick one. She can exist on all timelines and make the one timeline a product of all of those things together.
That sounds like a scientific explanation. What they say is that she can be in 3 places at once.
You can be in unlimited places.
Yeah,
at
it's
once.
like that.
You can be everywhere at
Your
once.
explanation kind of makes sense if she could like fork timelines and then bring them back together. Like that could be a cool, that's basically
Yeah.
what Loki does kind of deal.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, they just say you once you master your power, you can be in all places at once. And it's like that's
Which most broken power.
but also she's not good at things. Like she's not a fighter. She's not overly smart.
Yeah.
She's just a bad.
Well,
she's
that's
a
the
bad
thing.
girl.
I don't know if you watched any of the stuff with Dakota Johnson. That
She's a
this
dynamic
superhero is
character.
different. Okay,
It's
not
grounded
just
in reality.
she's using her mind, and I hope it teaches people to use their mind.
Except she never once uses her mind.
But yeah, she's going through like these weird Groundhog Days.
It's the movie Next, starring Nicolas Cage. That's what they want it to be, but they forgot that movie was actually pretty good.
And that movie already starts with him knowing how to use the power, so it can get
Yeah.
straight into it.
This movie
spends
takes an
3/4
Oh,
of
I
it.
reckon more. I reckon it's an hour before she like nails it.
Yeah.
The diner fight is the first time in the trailer,
Oh, that's what she goes. Let's try that again.
which isn't even her mastering her power. That's just her taking advantage of the next time round, like Happy Death Day, like
Well,
Groundhog
that's the
Day.
first time she uses her actual superpower.
And that's an hour in out of a 2-hour movie.
Yeah, well, she uses her actual superpower of vehicular manslaughter. Madam Web
How many times does she hit people with cars? Probably just twice, right?
twice, but she also steals 2 cars and crashes both cars into the villain. So she almost uses vehicular manslaughter more than her powers.
They do say that she's very good at driving.
It's like, whoa.
They're like, damn, now you're just showing off. And all she's doing is driving.
I fucking hate that because she goes, now you're showing off. And then she goes, now you're really showing off. And then there are the fireworks. Actually, she goes, now you're really showing off. And I'm like, shut the fuck
She's not
up.
even doing anything overly impressive.
Yeah. So while Dakota Johnson is going through her life of trying to just live her life as a regular Jersey paramedic, we cut to Ezekiel Sims, the man who stole the spider and shot her mum
Oh, God.
in whatever that was, the 90s, the 80s maybe.
Yeah, the first half of this movie is a lot of Ezekiel Sims.
Yeah, he's kind of amassed this wealth, at least that's what it looks like, and he keeps having visions because the spider has a secret sixth sense that it's like it can see the future to keep itself out of danger.
Which was written in her mum's logbook.
Yes, which how did it get captured? Anyway, because it was supposed to happen.
It gives that power. It doesn't have that power itself.
No, they said the spider has the power.
Oh,
anyway,
dang.
So he keeps having nightmares that 2 spider women and 1 spider girl kill him.
In about the first 20 minutes too. It's like the 20-minute mark. We cut to this man. He rocks up to the opera, looks suave.
Seduces a woman.
He flirts one time, and we cut to him about to bang her in their house. And then we zoom in on the spider in his giant terrarium. That's it. They make him out to be rich because later on he says to his hacker girl, "I pay you a fortune."
Yeah.
But they never. We see his empty, pretty decent looking apartment, and then he says that line, and that's how we show this man has money.
Yeah, hell yeah. I stole all this for you. Like, somehow he stole all this, like, NSA technology from the NSA just with spider powers, I guess. He can still get shot.
He gets the password, and her...
But how do they...
The lady he slept with was the general of the NSA, or whatever that is. And he bangs her, and then he has his monologue about how these 3 spider women kill him in his sleep.
Also, she should have got the gun out when he was talking about that, not when he was like, "I need to kill them."
But then he grabs her hand, and then my favorite line is she goes, "How are you poisoning me?" And it's like, okay, I guess you know she's poisoned. And then he's like, "When it reaches your lips, you die." And it's like, okay, cool. Like, all these things are just happening. But his vision of the spider women looks like ass.
Yes.
Like,
Also,
all those shots from the trailer,
yeah,
that is all you get. That is his
You
vision.
guys need to know, this movie is not what the trailers show. There aren't any superheroes in this movie. What you see from the trailers, or the teasers at least, is all the spider women we get. There is no costumes. There is no training montage and fighting with these 3.
There are 0 spider women in this film.
There are no spider women, and there's no Madam Web in this movie. There is Dakota Johnson, Cassie Webb figuring out her powers. There is no, till like the very last 1 second.
I still don't think she figures out her powers.
Yeah.
She uses them in the dumbest
She flukes
way
her powers in the end. But anyway, Ezekiel is trying to track down the women using all the post 9/11 technology he can, and Madam Web is trying to save them all, but she somehow runs into them on the train. That's all it is. And then
he just spends the whole movie tracking them, and his girl in the chair is like, they're at the diner, and then he's like, cool, goes to the diner, gets hit by a car.
And then he doesn't know where they are, and she goes, they're on their way to the hospital, and he's like, all right, I'm there. And then he gets hit by another car again.
Driven by the same woman.
Who he's like, I don't care about her.
So after we come from Ben Parker's sister's baby shower, who could the baby be?
Oh my God, if only I knew how family trees work.
Oh, we have to guess the name of the baby. And they're going around in a circle guessing. And just before she says it, a balloon pops. She's like, the baby's name is... And it's just strange that they would set this movie when Peter Parker is just born.
Yeah.
Because now you can't use any of these women as
True,
spider people.
they would be...
Because that means Peter
a bit
Parker
older than
grew
him.
up with 3 spider women running around the city, which is not the story of Peter Parker. Peter Parker
is the
always
original.
The first.
Yeah.
And then these people learn from him. Instead, these women are what? They're 15 now, so by the time he becomes Spider-Man, they're all 30.
Yeah.
Like minimum, these women are all
crazy.
30. That's late in Peter Parker's career when he hits 30. That's when he's got Mayday and stuff.
True. Yeah. By the time he becomes like a fully fledged superhero.
Yeah, he would have grown up his whole life with 3 Spider Women running
Well, thank God he had all these idols, and he's not original, and nothing important happened to him.
And his spider is completely different spider, genetically enhanced.
But also, this
by
woman who's
Katie's
so
mum.
entwined in his life is also a spider-related superhero.
Yes. And is we'll get. I was gonna say, and is
Also,
okay
how
with the parents
unoriginal
dying.
of him.
Is this the universe they wanted? Is this consistent with Morbius? I can't tell because why would you do that? Why would you limit yourself? Because now you'll never be able to make a Spider-Man thing meets up with these people unless time travel Madam Web stuff,
which like Secret Wars stuff.
I would not be shocked if they decided to do.
After she has like a crazy death at work of a friend.
I think she's going to the
funeral. So on the train there, she somehow runs into the 3 girls. They're all on the same train.
All 3 girls get into the same train, which is a very grating scene because they show a train breaking incredibly screechily, and they play that scene 5 times because it's Groundhog Day. But instead of Groundhog Day, where it's like a really laid out perfect scene where you see a bunch of different things happen, or like Shaun of the Dead, how on his way to work all those things happen and they're repeated later on, and it's like perfect. This is just a bunch of out of order
We
random
needed more
shenanigans.
her actually going through the motions and being like,
The series of events.
and I can change that. I
Yeah.
would have loved to see like almost like a Loki-esque.
Like a ball bounces and she blocks the ball, which then stops the car from crashing.
I would have loved
and-
seeing her plan up the perfect day.
Yep.
Because she knows
Which
everything.
is Groundhog Day, I guess. But the movie Next does it better. Once they're all meeting on the train, and after that really annoying train braking sound is played for the 15th time, I actually almost got into the movie. Because we're half an hour in at this point. So much happens in the first half hour of just nothingness. And finally, the movie kicks off. The way they use Ezekiel Sims' evil Spider-Man, he's almost like a force of nature, which is kind of cool. It's like seeing symbiote Peter. Like, he just kicks the crap out of everyone. Like, he walks through, picks people up, cracks their neck, drops them. Like, the man is a god if he wants to be, but he always pulls his punches.
Yeah.
Whereas Ezekiel Sims is not. So he's very easily able to destroy people because he's in a subway, he's on the ceiling, he's disappearing between things. He's taken people out so quickly, so efficiently. And it's a very cool scene that goes for 20 whole seconds.
Yeah.
And then there's a couple of Madam Web trying to be like, oh, I can't go that way. This bad thing will happen. So I go another way. And I'm like, all right, the movie's kicking off. And then they get into a cab to escape the subway, to escape Ezekiel. And he loses them because they are no longer within a camera. Then she just drives them to the forest. Yeah. That's her plan. It's a good in fairness, it is a good plan. Get them out of the city, get them somewhere no one is, and that keeps them safe. But unfortunately, for the movie's sake, this grinds it to a halt at like 35 minutes.
The most boring scene in the forest of just boringness.
It's meant to be a character growth scene of the girls.
Yeah,
but
we
again,
find out a little bit more about them.
except they're bad girl, shy girl, and science girl. And it's like...
And mummy who doesn't care because she never learned how to care for things.
Cassie,
Stop talking to me. It's like a drill in my brain.
Cassandra Webb has mummy issues, so she doesn't have any maternal instinct, which they touch on at the start, where she doesn't want a picture from the kid mum she saved, and now she doesn't want to deal with 3 teenage girls that she's a mum to. And shocker, by the end of the movie, she's a mother to them.
Oh my god.
I think her
they're
lines
my
are-
girls.
Exactly.
Hello, my girls.
Why is he blind, though? What could that mean? Why is his eyes closed?
You'll get there.
So it grinds the movie to a complete halt. And it's not even that everyone's together and everyone's bonding. It's the 3 girls are together, and Cassie Webb literally says, I'm going to be back in 3 hours. And what she does in those 3 hours is she leaves, abandons these girls with no car and no real food, but she's gone for 3 hours to go read a notebook where she finds a photo of Ezekiel and her mum. And she goes, oh, it's spiders from Peru. I get it. But damn my mum, I still hate her.
Yeah.
And then she goes back to get them. But then you get the diner scene from the trailer where the girls are like, I'm hungry and I'm rich. Because fun fact, Maddie Johnson, bad girl, her dad is apparently Norman Osborn, but she has a different last name and they're never mentioned.
Also, she's black.
She does say she has an Uncle
Also,
Jonah.
she's black.
J. Jonah Jameson.
Also, she's black.
Yes. So...
You've all seen the trailer.
yes.
Madam
It's
Web
the
goes
whole scene
and
is that
saves them
trailer.
from the diner where they're being sluts with high school boys.
I was going to say, that is the one thing the trailer is missing. The trailer is missing the shy girl hitching up her shirt and dancing on a table in front of college boys. It's not even the scene that draws attention to them. A guy is just reading a newspaper and it's like, oh, that's the kidnapped girls.
Yeah.
And calls, and then Ezekiel uses hacker skills.
He intercepts
to
the police
it.
radio.
And then they just believe this man on the radio. They're like, oh yeah, cool. And then he goes there to kill them. He tries it 3 times in different time-space continuums and then gets hit by a car.
He gets hit you think it's like, oh wow, he found them. Dakota's too late, and then she just comes through the front. Even though, I mean, I guess she saw where he was gonna be, but luckily there was no one else in there. Otherwise, what would she have done?
What we see is this is the second attempt. Again, it's not her mastering her powers. It's she got lucky and just hit him with a car.
She went, let's try this again, and just got it perfect the second time. Not perfect, but well enough that she incapacitated him and then saves
got a
the
little
girls.
bit of neurotoxin to know that she needs to get that he has neurotoxin venom abilities, but that don't come up again.
Yeah.
Not important. Again, it could be in a better movie. This could be a pretty cool scene where she has to rush to the diner and she ends up hitting with a car. That's not a bad scene inherently. What is a bad scene is when she goes, oh, I guess the forest is no longer a good hiding spot, takes them to a motel room. And then before they wake up, she fucks off again to go investigate. And then the next morning, after she talks to Ezekiel the night before, in her dreams maybe, She dumps the 3 girls on Ben Parker and fucks off to Peru.
Yeah.
Once again, grinding our movie to a halt because we don't see the girls for like another almost, it's got to be close to half an hour.
Yeah.
Because she just spends that time in Peru.
Yeah, she goes and spends 1 week in Peru.
She's literally like, I'll be back in a week. And it's like, these girls are about to get murdered by this guy.
Mm-hmm.
She has no real plan. All she knows is that she's going to go maybe find a spider. It's not, we don't know what she's doing. She's just going to where Ezekiel was.
Where her mum
died.
yeah.
And then it turns out there was a last Aranya there that just like pushed her in a pond.
I knew you'd come back.
And gave...
Do you trust me?
We knew she'd come back too because he said it in the first 3 minutes of the movie. She'll come back to learn more.
Chekhov's Brazilian Spider-Man.
Peruvian. And then so she gets a spirit vision because she gets dunked in a lake.
Let me be the doctor. Let me be the doctor.
She gets flashbacks to her mum pregnant at the doctor's and scene.
Scene. Your child has a rare genetic intramuscular disorder. Would you like a tissue?
A tissue is...
There is no cure.
Isn't there anything you can do apart from a tissue?
No.
I'm going to go to Peru because there's spiders there.
I don't recommend you travel. And then cut to Dakota Johnson. You were doing this for me? Mama, you're a badass.
Women are strong.
That's the thing, and I hope people don't misconstrue this. This movie in no way is bad because it's female-led girl boss movie. This movie is bad because it's bad movie.
Every single song is a girl boss banger. I don't actually know if it's a girl boss banger, but every song in the movie is sung by a woman. So like they do Toxic, they do some Billie Eilish, like it's all bad girl women singing because that's our team of bad girls.
So she comes back from Peru at the perfect time, by the way. Aunt May is giving birth to Peter, and Ben decides to take the girls from the safety of the home.
Also, we have half an hour left in the movie.
Correct.
She comes back literally for the finale.
They're on the way to the hospital. She comes back.
Because Peter's being born.
He's coming. Our savior. That's when they finally find the girls on Face ID. And then he's like, I'm going to intercept them, hack the traffic lights. I'm going to get them.
Set them all to green.
And then Dakota's like, I see him. And then drives through a parking garage at the perfect velocity.
One thing I'll give her, they do say she uses her brain in this movie. She doesn't. But she looks through the window of a pregnant woman's house and there's a puddle of water on the floor. And she's like, she must be having the baby. But then before she actually really comes to that conclusion, an ambulance rocks up and they're like, is the lady inside having a baby? And it's like, oh, okay. So she doesn't have to be smart at all.
She's like, sorry, guys. Probably people she knows from work, by the way.
And then she gets a bigger car because she gets an Ambo and she's going to use that.
And doesn't kill him again.
The funniest fucking scene. It's the way they cut the diner as well. The diner scene, it looks like she's going to be late. She's not going to get there in time. And in this scene, Ezekiel is standing on top of their car.
With a grenade.
About to blow them up with a grenade. Why does Spider-Man have a grenade? He can punch and poison people, but he's got a grenade. And then she crashes through out the side of a tunnel, through a billboard, and then misses the car below, smacks Ezekiel perfectly, and then he gets fucked up again and the grenade goes off to the side. So it's a second vehicular almost manslaughter. Could have killed anyone. And again, it's not like they showed us her trying this multiple times or like thinking about different angles. It's literally on her way there, she has a bit of a vision and then all we see is her crash through. So we see no attempt, no smarts, nothing.
I'd love to know how long this movie is. If you take out all of the like double, triple, quadruple seeing things through visions,
Lord.
like if it cuts it down to like an hour and a half.
It's got to be way shorter because especially that train scene, like at the half-hour mark, they play that for at least 5 minutes before you get any action.
Yeah.
Which is just a weird ratio of like build up to action. It's like, he's coming because they show it. And it is cool that they show him kill them multiple times because that's the only time I think that actually works, which is why I think that's my favorite scene in the movie. So after she's hit him with the car, her new plan is to put the kids in the same car that she had a second ago.
Correct.
Or steal a new car maybe.
No, they're in the ambulance.
It's in the ambulance. So she reuses the car that she hit him with both times.
Didn't get affected by the grenade or the exploding car that got exploded by the grenade.
Or the wall she crashed through.
Correct, it's fine.
And they build ambulances tough out there. And then they go to...
the fireworks factory.
They go to the firework factory from earlier in the movie that was over a week ago, but had a fire in it. Apparently, none of the fireworks went off. There's no police present. They didn't remove the fireworks.
They also weren't ruined by dousing the building with water to put out the fire.
Yeah, they say that the building's unstable and full of fireworks, and at no point was it cleared of fireworks. Because we've seen footage recently. Like, if a fireworks factory goes off, everyone is fucked. That's a horrible thing to happen. but they treat it like a joke in this movie.
No, it's literally a building full of TNT.
That's her genius idea. It is to run through a fireworks factory, setting off all the fireworks. And at no point does any of them get hurt. Because the rest of the movie...
Well, that's why it's so good and her power is so perfect. She knows where every single firework that will hit someone will be, except for inevitably the one that hits her in the head.
What it boils down to visually for us is everyone's just kind of running, and then occasionally Madam Web goes, stop! And she like pushes one of them out of the way as a firework whizzes past their head. A couple of them hit Ezekiel, and one blows up an entire wall. And then they get to the roof of the factory, and then everything's getting fucked up and everything's going crazy. And that's the rest of the movie. It's just her telling them to stop occasionally as a firework goes off. I guess Ezekiel didn't get any of the premonition stuff because he gets hit by multiple fireworks.
Yeah, he only has dreams sometimes.
She finally masters her ability to actually be in 3 places at once to save all 3 girls. They do the Green Goblin thing. He's like, you can't save all of them because they've all fallen. And then she does get to all of them to save them with her mind powers. And then he just...
That's the best scene. The best scene. She's like hovering, kind of like omnipotent. 3 of her are saving all the girls. And he just walks up to her and just goes... And just punches her into a
he just fucking
billboard.
floors her. And then they both fall
Which
off
should kill her. She's not a superhero.
human, yeah. Although I guess they never
yeah,
said.
she is. She got bit by that spider.
They both fall off the building, and he gets crushed by a giant pea from the Pepsi Cola logo.
Not before she hits him with the classic line, "These girls weren't your future. I was."
Because she can see the future, do you remember?
That's the plot of this movie?
And she gets hit in the face by a firework and falls into the water.
Cocks her in the head and takes her vision and her legs.
Yes. The last shot of the movie, nothing else important happens.
The
honestly.
girls do their CPR on her like they planned
from
to.
earlier. They do CPR.
But they don't get the water out of her lungs.
She didn't breathe in. She just sunk. The last scene in the movie is the funniest thing ever. It's literally just, she's in a wheelchair now and she's got giant glasses and she looks out of a giant apartment window that she now owns.
Hello, my girl.
She's now in a different apartment and she's adopted these 3 girls. And then it cuts to them in all their spider suits
They're
in the future.
my girls.
And she's a ghost hovering above them. Why? I know she can't spider around, but that's the visual they showed. It's the 3 spider women
hilarious.
looking badass, and she's just floating there.
She's just got her big speed dealer pit vipers on, and she's like, "My girls."
It's the weirdest ending ever, and then just cut. It just ends.
No after credits scene.
No, nothing.
Nothing. That's what you think this movie is. You're like, oh, it's going to be 50% her raising them, 50% them taking on Zeke.
It seems like it should.
It isn't.
It seems like it's setting up a universe, but it just never does. This trailer lied. This trailer was a one big old lie. There's
That's what
0% Spider-Woman.
We were Ezekiel Simmed. We thought that they were the movie,
But she
Madam
was the
Web was the
movie.
movie. Congratulations, they're playing 4D chess. Correct.
But they could have just made that
bitch.
movie, though. They could have just made that movie.
Yeah, I have no idea why they didn't.
So I'm going to fix this movie for you.
Fix
Pay
it for
attention,
me.
ladies and gentlemen. This is what this movie should have been.
I'm Sony. Pitch me a Madam Web movie.
All right, so you've got 3 girls living kind of crappy lives. Imagine the beginning of Chronicle.
Okay.
They can be friends or they can be acquaintances, but all 3 of them, their lives are not great. They've got some mummy issues. They're just going around their life. And then instead of spending so much time on Ezekiel Sims, he's only ever in the spider suit. And he's coming for them. And then you play that train scene almost the same, except Madam Web is fully in control of her powers. But you nerf her, of course. She's not this bad. She can't interdimensional do all that shenanigans. But she's Nicolas Cage next. She can see the future, and she eagle-eyes them.
Okay.
So
Yep.
she's eagle-eyeing these Chronicle kids and getting them out of the way just in time, making things work perfectly. So Ezekiel, this force of nature, that we don't know who it is. We just know that there's these 3 normal girls, and there's this guy coming to fucking murder them.
There's
and
this
he
evil
looks,
Spider-Man.
and he looks like Spider-Man. We don't know who he is. He's just Spider-Man. And then the girls eventually meet Madam Web, but it's still the girls avoiding him. And then I think you have to give them powers, isn't the thing?
Yeah. They need to have, at least give them all something individual. Make the tech one super techy.
Yeah, you can have them bitten by the spider in the first 5 minutes as well if you want. They're all on a science trip. But you just need to speed run some of this stuff. And instead of focusing so much on Ezekiel and Madam Web, keep Madam Web as an enigma. And then she's just rescuing these girls, and then these girls band together, and they do kill Ezekiel. and then Madam Web's like, excellent. And then you can go into her head and you can show other Spider-Man.
Thing,
and
yeah,
you
you
can
need
get-
to
you
make
can get the
Madam
shattered
Web
dimensions.
what she is, where she's a force that isn't. She can't exist within a world because she's too perfect. She needs to exist on like a multi-dimensional level, just kind of pulling strings
She's
because
busy.
she can't. She's busy, so she molds these people to be protectors of this world. Essentially,
Yeah,
she has.
like,
she
she can
controls the
create
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man. Yeah.
Exactly.
She can create the Spider-Man. She created these 3 Spider-Women through happenstance. Again, I'm thinking basketballs bouncing across roads, trucks swerving, saving children's lives and stuff like that. We probably shouldn't have them kill Ezekiel like in the intro where they kick him out of a window. I would honestly be happy with them never properly meeting Madam Web. And then at the end is where they walk in and she's like, welcome, children. Like, you can do that.
Professor X.
Yeah, exactly. I think that would be a way more interesting movie because you'd have 3 final girls narrowly avoiding murder while everyone around them gets torn apart by this masochism.
Like they don't know
spider
how
boy.
their life has been. Like, oh, things just happen.
They don't know why they're under attack, but they slowly learn their powers, but they're being molded by Madam Web. So you can speedrun a lot of it because instead of them figuring out their powers, they don't have Web.
They're essentially getting like a Cliff Note version of how to be a superhero by Madam Web.
Yeah, and because there's 3 of them, it's like Chronicle. You can skip through a fair bit of it so that you can show their development, and then you could actually focus on these 3 girls. Because honestly, Dakota Johnson is a fucking piece of wood in this movie. Like she is a personality vacuum.
Yeah.
She's got nothing going on, and they spend that half an hour setting her up, and I don't give a shit about her. She's such a boring person.
Imagine, in your version of the movie, in the end we see like Madam Web in her like web dimension, and then we get like an anonymous Spider-Man walking up to her and being like, are you sure about these 3? And her being like, trust me, they're more important. And then it pans out and it's fucking like Andrew Garfield or something
Yeah,
like
that's
that.
the thing. They could tie it all back in. They could, and it doesn't have to be in the same time frame because like it could be older Andrew Garfield. They can give him a beard. I don't know. They could tie it to a universe that they want to create, but they're not putting any work to create the universe.
Oh yeah, in case you forgot the first part of this review, this movie is dog shit.
They made the worst thing ever, basically.
I think I will
don't know how
give
they
this
managed
movie
it.
honestly a 2 out of 10.
100% the worst superhero movie because even bad superhero movies are fun. Like Daredevil, a guilty pleasure watch for me. Catwoman, you can cringe, you could get drunk and just laugh at Catwoman the whole time. With this movie, you can laugh twice, and it's when a dude gets hit by a car.
Yeah.
Like that's literally all this movie has.
Oh,
going
when
for
she
it.
goes, "You're my spider girl."
But then you have to watch the whole movie, like just for that one last clip. I'm so sad that hasn't leaked. I want to show you all.
Are these immediate family? They're my girls.
Do not see this movie.
Don't
It's
watch
not-
it when it's out for
No.
free, and do it very drunk.
Yeah, it's honestly it's not worth a watch at all. Avoid this one 100%.
But if you liked it for any reason, tell us what you liked. Tell us if you liked any aspect of this movie.
Tell us why you liked these dynamic characters.
And tell us where you think these titular spider heroines will go.
Titular.
And subscribe. While Madam Web may be able to see the future, I also can. And I know what the future brings. I know that when you see this review, you're going to love it. In fact, I think you're going to watch it twice.